and welcome today. I'm super excited to introduce you to Dr. Audrey Wells. She is here to talk about sleep, and she has a lot of cool credentials because she is menopause certified, is a board certified sleep doctor, and as well is obesity medicine certified. So she knows about all the things. So welcome, Audrey, and can you please tell the group about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Sleep is my passion. I love educating and talking about the benefits and natural pleasure of sleep. And I think for your audience, it's really compelling because, from a menopause standpoint, from a weight loss standpoint, energy and vitality, it's a topic that comes up a lot for me. I practiced clinically for about 15 years and then took things to my own business in order to help support and educate those diagnosed with sleep apnea and insomnia. And now I'm in the middle of another pivot toward a 50-state telehealth practice for comprehensive evaluation and management of sleep disorders. So happy to be here and
Nice.
talk to you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. So let's talk a little bit about general perimenopause, menopause sleep, because this is sometimes the worst thing people have, or at least sometimes the first thing they have, and so it's a big one.
Yeah, the question comes up all the time because it's often sort of a harbinger of perimenopause, sleep
Mhm.
disruption, oftentimes with hot flashes, but also that middle of the night awakening that stretches from 30 minutes to 45 and an hour and so on. And, I find that, when I'm out at a party or, just in a group of people and someone asks me, "What do I do?" And I say, "I'm a sleep medicine physician." There's the women who will grab my arm and say, "I need you because I cannot find the answer to what I'm experiencing." So I think that, where sleep is concerned, especially for middle life women,
Mhm,
there's a lot of focus on what is the problem, like the symptoms of the problem.
mhm.
And then, as you know, there's all of this explanation that can come up. I'm stressed. I've got too much on my plate right now. Things are really hard, but they're going to get better later. It's just because I've gained weight. It's because my partner's snoring, or my kids are signaling, or my pet's on the bed. And there's all of this explanation. And before you know it, a couple years have passed, and you've been
Mhm.
having sleep problems the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. And what do we you know, where do we start when we're just like, "I just know that it's totally different now." I mean, I'm not the only person who said, "Sleep used to be my superpower, and now I really can't get a good night's sleep."
Yeah. And, I think for any woman who values their health, who values productivity, and kind of that stable, good mood that they would associate
Mhm.
with living well, sleep factors into all of those things. So when your sleep erodes, it has this ripple effect in your life that really, it's kind of like a boiled frog phenomenon. But, you asked where to start, and I wanna just start out by saying that in some ways, there's tons of questionnaires out there about how well you sleep and, what kinds of things are you doing or not doing? What are your symptoms at night, your symptoms during the day? We have wearables now in the form of rings
Mm.
and watches. So I think people start in a lot of different places,
Mhm.
and Google and ChatGPT can be kind of receptors for these sleep symptoms. And all that's fine and good. Like, just realize that a woman's sleep fundamentally is
Mhm.
different than a man's sleep. And all of these devices and tools and questionnaires are really skewed toward detecting sleep problems in a man.
Mm. Mhm.
Women's sleep wasn't even really looked at with any meaningful degree until women came back into the research scene in the 1990s. Okay. And since then, there is a paucity of research on women, typically in a randomized control trial for sleep apnea, for example. Women only make up 20% or less of the study population. So, over time, as I've been practicing and kind of shoring up my knowledge with, academics and subspecialization, what I've learned is that there's really the most benefit from just having a low threshold to get a sleep evaluation. Okay.
Okay.
And it's sort of like coming at it, thinking of a sleep evaluation like a mammogram or a bone
Mhm.
density test. You don't want to be caught on your heels spending literally 5 or 10 years
Yeah.
trying to cope with your sleep symptoms. If you really want to be proactive, go get a home sleep apnea test as a starting point
Mhm.
and see a sleep medicine physician or clinician who can get eyes on your symptoms and your experiences so that you're having like that blind spot of your sleep exposed. I Let's take the stop bang questionnaire for example. So
Mhm.
it's a really common way to assess for sleep apnea, but like you get a whole point just for being a man.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
and women Women don't really present like that. One of the things I like to say is, sleep apnea for women, particularly midlife women, is a silent disorder. You don't snore a lot. And I think that when I tell people that I myself have sleep apnea, it bucks the stereotype and
Yeah.
hopefully gives a little bit of insight into, oh, this could be happening for me too. And I should get it checked out because over time it will erode your health.
Mm. Yeah. And I I like to point out the thing about the home sleep study because I think especially people at depending on where you are in midlife, your memory of it is that people had to go stay overnight in the hospital with stuff on you and, honestly, it sounds kinda scary.
It's definitely uncomfortable and it makes a big impression on you because it's such an unusual experience.
Yeah.
But nowadays, that really is not the most common approach. I think like other areas in medicine, there's a lot that rides on the history, but
Mhm.
if there's not a bed partner who's sort of collaborating with symptom reporting, or if the person themselves isn't terribly symptomatic, which does happen
Mhm.
despite a very significant sleep disorder, then you're still kind of working with the test as being really meaningful, especially if it comes up positive.
Mm.
So let me add a little bit of nuance to that. Home sleep apnea tests, in and of themselves, were meant for those who have a high pretest probability of sleep apnea.
Ah.
Okay. So that's when they're really shining and the specificity and sensitivity is highest. The more you deviate from the poster child, like I have this picture when I give talks of no neck Tony, who
Okay.
has no neck
Yeah.
and a big belly. And the more you deviate from that, the less accurate home sleep apnea testing is.
Mhm.
So when I see a woman who looks like me, for example,
Yeah.
same age, same body composition, same similar symptoms, like more tired during the day, not really sleepy, and no
Mhm.
snoring. If the home sleep apnea test does not reveal sleep apnea, I always say it's inconclusive, not
Okay.
negative. Okay. And, the other that I really want to land is that sleep apnea is really only one facet of what I
Mhm.
do. There's lots of sleep disorders that can
Sure.
cause problems. And it's really not uncommon for people to have more than one operating at the same time.
Okay. Someone told me too that and I just love your take on this, that some of what we need to do because we have so much brain changes and so many body changes in that we need to kind of retrain our sleep, look at the
Mhm.
whole thing again, sleep hygiene and the whole thing, because it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah. Yeah, when a woman passes through all the midlife changes associated with the menopause transition, it's really a remodeling of the brain and the body, even the
Mhm.
brain body connection. And that's integral to what sleep is all about. And, I think one of the things that is not mentioned a lot, I'll say three actually, is sexual health, including
Mm.
genitourinary symptoms associated with menopause. And like bladder control affects your sleep quite a bit. So,
Yeah.
trips to the bathroom during the middle of the night. And if you've already satisfied some of your sleep need, but you have to answer the call of nature, it's more difficult to get back to sleep.
Mm.
So that's one issue. I mentioned the hot flashes, and oftentimes those are remedied with some hormonal replacement therapy.
Mhm.
You know, I think the word is slowly getting out there that the findings of research done in the early 2000s, which was misinterpreted and kind of mishandled in terms of
Right.
public awareness, that ship is now moving into a more positive direction where women are
Mhm.
seeking treatment, even if it's just vaginal estrogen, to
Oh.
alleviate symptoms. And then the other thing that I like to talk about for women is the psychological aspect of sleep that has a really big role in making those nighttime awakenings prolonged. So, what do I mean by
Mm.
that? The work that I do is trauma informed. And
Mhm.
if you're someone who has a background that includes trauma, may look like anxiety, may look like depression, may look like, maladaptive coping mechanisms for stress, those come up and play in your mind in the middle of the night because
Mm.
your brain has a very strong negativity bias. And so you're more vulnerable to that monkey mind in the middle of the night that's going to aggravate your efforts of getting back to sleep. And I think also under the psychology umbrella is the socialization that women have. You know,
Mhm.
we are caregivers for the generation above and the generation below, and we
Yeah.
are socialized to be performative and busy. And again, in the middle of the night, when your brain finally has some white space to process all of the stimuli we have during the day, that has a tendency to make that an hour or two awakening really eating
Mm.
into your total sleep time. So, to your point, sleep health is way more than sleep hygiene, and it's way more than
Mhm.
just diagnosing a sleep condition. It's a multifaceted health issue,
Yeah.
just similar to nutrition and exercise, and possibly even more important.
Mhm. Yeah. It's so good that people are becoming aware of that, right? In the public space.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a lot of people who are listening are also concerned about issues with weight and sleep. And so if you could talk about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, the intersection between weight and sleep is really interesting to me because if you think of where energy comes from as a person, you're going to look to get energy from your sleep and you get energy from what you eat and drink, your calorie consumption.
Mhm.
And both of these are metabolic, right? So think of it this way, which is a little bit simplistic, but if you have a sleep problem that affects your sleep quality, your sleep
Mhm.
quantity, your sleep timing, or if you have an undiagnosed or untreated slash undertreated sleep disorder, you're going to take a hit to your energy. So you're not
Right.
replenishing your energy from sleep. And your brain is literally wired with the survival mechanism to start looking at food to replace that
Mhm.
energy. And so when your sleep is suboptimal for whatever reason, appetite increases. You tend to store more fat instead of putting on muscle. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose more muscle compared to fat. And as midlife women, we know that that muscle is critical to support us for the
Mhm.
next 30, 40, 50 years. And, even on a day to day basis, functioning in a state of sleep deprivation, even if it's a little bit subtle, affects our choices. What are we going to eat?
Yeah.
How much is it going to be? Are we going to be putting on our shoes and going out for a walk? Or are we going to grab the Fritos from the top of the refrigerator and just have a little snacky poo before our day ends? And maybe I'm revealing a little bit about my own, but I'm a person in this world too. And even a sleep
Yeah.
expert is having to deal with these things. So it's a very primitive response that our brain is reactive to.
I love how you explain that. So it's something, it's one of those things where also where I start to tell people you deserve to have this looked at. If it's not right, you deserve to have a workup for this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us do that thing that you said where like, it's not that bad, or I have some other ideas about what it is. And,
Yes, the
um,
explaining away.
yeah,
I'm stressed right now. It's the holidays. I'll wait. Yeah, all of that. I just want to call out. And for anyone listening or watching, when a woman starts telling me about their sleep symptoms, it just makes me want to reach and grab her shoulders and say, listen, sleep needs to be a priority because it's a fundamental biological need. So you are denying yourself this thing that is so fundamental to your health. Go get tested, go get the evaluation, go get your help, and don't stop until you feel rested and energetic during the day.
nice. Thank you so much. I think we'll end with that because that's a perfect message. So
Sounds
please tell people how they can connect with you. We'll make sure this is in the show notes as well, but please.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And, I consider myself in service to people with sleep needs. I am Chief Medical Officer of sleep.com. Sleep has an interesting spelling. It's SLIIP, meaning we've got all eyes on your sleep. And they can, anyone who's interested can go to sleep.com to get an evaluation, meet with one of our board certified sleep specialists, or we have nurse practitioners who are also expert in sleep. And we do all of it. We do all of the care for your sleep. And coming up in the new year, we've got some really interesting options for women specifically. And it's about time.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for this work that you do. And thanks for being on the show today.
It's my pleasure.